Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Indy Plug. We now have a trilogy, as today I'm talking to lead singer Chris from a Manchester-based band, the Covasettes. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me, Robin. It's a pleasure, mate.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. I wondered how long it would be until I got a Manchester-based band on the podcast. After all, it is a very successful music scene. Before we get into the whole music side of things, how was it growing up in Manchester?
Well, I don't know if you can tell from my accent. I'm from Northampton, so a little bit near you, maybe down in Oxford. We all met at university, you see. In fact, the only one of us who is from Manchester is Matt on drums. So maybe I should have sent him in. But no, we kind of all moved in from different areas of England. So Jamie from Oxford, me from Northampton, Matt from Sunderland / Newcastle, and obviously Matt from Manchester. So we met in university there and kind of just got into the music scene that way.
Of course, are you now all based in Manchester? Do you all live around Manchester area?
Yeah, we live here. We live together. So we all moved in together after we put a song of ours called Top Drawer out. We moved in then and decided, because we all got to the end of university and realised that it was either going to be no more the Covasettes or would carry on. So we kind of bit the bullet and not really having much to go off and kind of moved in together. And that's been us for the last 2 and a bit years now, maybe 2 years.
Cool. The Manchester scene, as I said, is an illustrious one. In the past, you've had the likes of Joy Division and New Order, Happy Mondays and Stone Roses, Oasis and the Smiths, and more recently, one of my favourite bands, the Cortinas. It's fair to say you have big boots to fill.
Yeah, I mean, again, Matt on drums is the biggest Liam Frey fan. He come to a gig of ours when we supported a band called State of Play, and I've never seen him more starstruck in his life. I think one of Liam Frey's mates asked him what our band name was, and he couldn't physically get the words out to tell him. But yeah, big boots to fill. I don't necessarily know whether we're trying to fill them or not. I think there's a lot of room for a lot of bands, like you just said, with the amount of lists. So I think we're kind of happy to share the stage, and don't think we're going to be upstaging Cortinas in the next few years, I'd say.
As I listened to your music, you didn't sound like any of those bands. You're quite unique.
Thanks.
How do you think these bands helped influence your band? Which Mancunian artist would you identify as the main influence of the?
I don't know. I think Mancunian-wise, that's a good question. I think I kind of take it from everywhere. You'd have to ask, because obviously for me it's more songwriting-wise. I wouldn't say I perhaps go for an Oasis or Cortina style. I think certainly like drums and things have been influenced by them sort of riffs. But for me, I suppose the influence from bands like the Cortinas is more their live shows and how they kind of create that kind of atmosphere, and obviously Oasis and the way they were. I think that certainly influenced me. I'd say growing up, maybe Oasis, and when I got into Definitely Maybe was like a big album where I was like, right, okay, that's how you do it. That's how it's done. And then obviously Stone Roses' first album is just unbelievable. So I definitely listen to them two the most, I'd say.
Obviously, being surrounded with such talented musicians, it wasn't too much of a surprise to see the emergence of another indie band in late 2017, the Covasettes. How did it come about?
So I'm liking these lineup to the questions, by the way. It's very good. We met on a website called Join My Band. For the first 3 years of being in a band, we refused to admit that in the public because we thought it was a bit lame. But I think the more it goes on, I quite enjoy the fact that it is. We all. So I was in first year of university and wanted to be in a band, hadn't been in a band, and was just like, well, how does it work then? Because I suppose back in the day, I'd imagine you kind of went down the pub and met like-minded people, but maybe it wasn't happening like that for me. So I put an ad up and had many response, and Matt Hewlett, who's on guitar, was one of them. So he was the first person I ever went to just play with, just me and him, and we played a few songs. He still got the recordings of the songs we did on the first day we met, and then straight away it was like, cool. He liked Coldplay, I like Coldplay. It was like, okay, let's go off that. That's where all great relationships start, I think. And then we went from there and put another ad up for a drummer, where Matt sent that through, and then so we had the 3-piece then. We needed a bass player, and Matt on guitar happened to live with a guy called Jamie who was into heavy metal at the time, which is pretty scary to me. I don't know about you, but so he come down one day and started playing, and he's just like, he's an unbelievable musician, so good. So I said to Matt, I was like, can we get him in? And he's like, no, he's into heavy metal, he's into singing about death and destruction and things. So I was like, okay. But the plan was to have Jamie on board to help us record demos at the start, but then I think Jamie obviously thought it was all right, so joined then. So we kind of, it was piecemeal and maybe not conventional, but that's how it worked in the end.
Well, I don't think it's a bad story at all, to be honest.
No, was that all right? Okay, good. I think it's just, you hear so many love stories of, you know, I was playing open mic night and the other guy was there and he started singing with me and then we hugged each other, and that was how the first album was. That was just a definite kind of 2020 story of, you know, meeting online that way. It loses the romantic effect, but I suppose we'll have many a married couple soon where they all met on Tinder, so I suppose it's not the worst thing in the world.
Along with your formation, you released your first single, This Feeling. It must have been so important to make a good first impression on listeners. What was the thought process behind this song?
Well, we'd gigged for maybe a year, a bit before that, because we didn't want to release something official until we kind of knew what we were doing. We wanted to make our mistakes and learn maybe what's a good song. Because when I think the problem you have when you start off as a band is everything you do you think is amazing until you listen to it 2 weeks later, sort of thing. So we gigged everywhere we could in Manchester and everywhere else for about a year, and we put demos out, and we had a song called She Is out at the time, which we didn't think people would like, but they do. And so when we got to that, we thought, well, here's our, you know, by that point we had maybe 30 songs, and it was like, what's the best one to do it? And like you said, it was important to get it right, because we kind of knew that, not a strict rule, but we knew we'd probably be playing it for the next few years if we put it out and we did things properly. So This Feeling was kind of the instant catchy, like good chorus, I think, anyway, and it just kind of flew. So we recorded that, and I think listening to it now, it may be a little bit too quick, but apart from that, I think it's held up all right. And it's weird for me to meet people who like it and enjoy it, because, you know, it's 2017 when we did that, so it seems such a long time ago, and we've come so far as a band in everything we do. So it's weird hearing that now, but I like to think it still stands up amongst everything else we've got. So
yeah, definitely. For me, I see this as a very summery kind of tune, and this has continued throughout your whole catalogue of songs. Where do you find the inspiration for your songs in general?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I just kind of, I think we've come to criticism before because we don't really stick to a sound. We kind of just go with the wind, really, and what we fancy. So for me, I think the inspiration is just how I'm feeling. You know, some weeks I'll write a song which is the, you know, a heart-wrenching love song, or the next week I'll write a grunge emo song. And I think that's kind of what I love the most about being in a band with these guys. It's like having musicians who can just play anything you want to play. So it's like you come down and say, can we try this? And so of course we can, you know. So I kind of take the piss for that a little bit and lean into it and go, well, okay, what about this? And I think now the more we go on, I'm kind of bringing songs down, and what comes out is not what I wanted to come out, but maybe what they wanted to come out. Like at the minute, we've just done a new song recently, just the other day, and I wanted this to be sort of a ballady song, and it ended up being some sort of like punk rock song, and it's like, well, fine, you know. So I think we kind of take inspiration from each other and how we're feeling at the time, really.
So obviously it feels better for you being in a band because there's multiple personalities to bring multiple different like kind of genres into the band.
Definitely. And I think that's one thing which I am big on and want to move away from. I don't like seeing bands where there's a front man and three sort of shadow figures at the back. I think a band is a band for a reason. It's, you know, for us, 4 individual members, and really, you know, we all have opinions and we all have different styles and different artistic choices. And I think that's brilliant. That's what kind of brings it through. So I'm always so keen not to have the show just about me, you know, and to kind of bring through everyone else, because it's just, you know, if you take one part of the band out, it becomes significantly weaker than it was before, you know. And I think all 4 parts of it together are stronger than any individual part. So I'm very big on having that and making sure that everyone's opinion counts, although I'm certain mine is the most important opinion.
Good answer. Well,
I'm joking.
With almost 200,000 streams on Spotify for your debut single, it must have been difficult to sustain such a strong start for your band's development in the following year, but you did just that by selling out shows in cities across England, such as your hometown in Manchester. Well,
we'll call it the hometown. Yeah,
hometown.
I'm with you on that one. We call it hometown.
And the capital down south. What was it like in the early stages of gigging?
Yeah, it's pretty grueling, to be fair. I mean, you know what? I love it, and I still our philosophy was that we were just going to take everything we possibly could, and we still do it now, and because we always say that something comes out of everything you do. So it's a case of being offered a gig by Dodgy Dave down the Dog and Parrot pub in Doncaster and or whatever, and taking that and turning up. But actually, it's where you learn your trade, you know, because I think a lot of bands come in and expect to be propelled at levels because they feel like deserve it, but you don't. And I think we're always aware that when you start a band, you're on the same level as pub bands, wedding bands, cover bands, tribute bands. So it's up to you to kind of establish yourself and differentiate yourself from everyone else. So it was like, well, we'll do them gigs until, you know, we can say, okay, this is how good we are, or this is how many tickets we can do. So, you know, we did a lot of gigs playing to not many people, but actually for me, it was important being at the, you know, singing, to be able to learn how to manage a crowd who perhaps don't really give a shit. And I think when we started playing shows with people who did start to care, or big crowds, our own crowds, everything becomes so much easier because, you know, we'd done, I call it 2.5 years of just, you know, playing on a hope that crowds will like us, or playing, you know, hoping we can convert the few who were there. So it was important to us just to kind of not even, I suppose, one, grounding us, and two, building us up to getting a bit better. And I think you meet some bands now who have managed to kind of skip them steps, and I think it does show. You know, I don't think you should ever be guaranteed a engaging or big crowd. I think you've got to earn it, and I wouldn't say we've earned the big ones yet, but I think we're certainly getting to a point now where, you know, we can do a fair few tickets where we need to, and have a good time with that.
Well, these small gigs kind of like humble you in a way, so that you'll always have that band to fan connection.
Yeah, I think you're right, and especially when we did our last tour, where things certainly felt like they were clicking a little bit more than before, and you know, we're always surprised still about how many people are there, because there's always that thing in the back of your mind where I know that I've walked out on stage many a time and seen 5 people there, and it's like, okay, let's get it done, let's like smash it. So perhaps on the last tour in Manchester, where we walked out and it was like, fucking hell, you know, like I'm seeing just our t-shirts all over everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, okay, and you go and sing a song and everyone starts singing it back. It's like, right, okay. And I'm still not used to it yet, and I hope I never am used to it, really. I'd like to maybe keep that kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, that kind of feel like euphoric feeling of a crowd singing back to you and liking your songs, because we didn't have that for so long. So long may it continue.
But in the same year, in 2018, you supported the Sherlocks in front of a sellout crowd in Leeds. That's quite the achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, big fans of the Sherlocks as well. And when we got that call, that was, and again, we got that from just, again, playing everything. So the story behind that gig is a band who are no longer a band, but good friends of ours, Oddity Road. They put a tweet out saying, we need a support band in Manchester who can do it. So like, tag someone below, sort of thing. So we played a gig in Derby a few weeks before to not many people. And these 2 people happened to see us who tweeted this band and said, what about these guys? And we got on that show. And then on our last song, the Sherlock's manager walked in, saw us play, and messaged us asking, we had a song at the time, I think it was Like You. No, it's Wild. And I said on stage that it was our Wonderwall as a joke. And he said, send me the song about Wonderwall, whatever it was. And I didn't know it was the Sherlock's manager. So I was like, well, no, it's not out. And then I kind of looked, I was like, oh shit. So we sent him that. And he got us on Leeds. And that's kind of going back to what I was saying to you about something comes from everything. That was a whole chain of us taking opportunities, which eventually led to like a fortunate gig for us. And that was unreal. That was like it was weird, because that was like the gig I'd been going to for years, you know, like the proper venues, the proper kind of academies and big stages, big crowds, like, and we just ate it up. Like, I remember it was just such a class gig to play, and you know, I hope we can do a few more of them as well.
So it sounds like a typical, it's not what you know, it's who you know kind of story.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know them though, you know, it was, but I suppose, I think, yeah, the sad side is that perhaps when you go through music, you do realize that's sometimes a thing. But I think for us, we come into music not knowing anyone, so we kind of earn the respect of others in some places, or kind of build up relationships. But I'd certainly say that comes into it sometimes. Yeah.
Not only did you see success in this year through the number of live shows you performed, but also through the release of 3 new singles. These included your most streamed song to date, Top Drawer, which has almost hit the 600k stream mark.
Yeah, how good's that, eh?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Did you expect this song to blow up as much as it did?
No, we it's weird, and the more I do music, the more, and maybe it's the same for life, but the more I realize I don't know. You know, I think we had Top Drawer and thought, yeah, it's all right. But we recorded Top Drawer and Wild together, and we were going to put out Top Drawer to kind of tee the ball up and then smash it home with Wild. And then I remember just being in the car one day and looking down the Indy list, which was like a thing I've always wanted to be on, and seeing Top Drawer sat there. And then it moved up within the next few weeks to, like, you know, 6th in the Indy list. We were like above Florence and the Machine and that. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Because we don't know who on earth backed it so hard. But then obviously that was a thing that lifted us off the ground. And obviously we just thought about moving in together around Top Drawer. So it was like, that was massive for us. And obviously then we started to see a buffer in crowds and people coming to like that. So that was huge. And we didn't expect it, to be honest. And that's kind of given us so much in terms of a boost to kind of propel us forward. I think if we didn't have that, we'd be quite a different band, I think. And so I think it's important to have that. But I think we'd quite like another song to overtake it, so we're not a one-hit wonder forever, I think.
Obviously, as you said earlier, all your songs have different meanings and you have different genres. You don't want to go for the same influences. But is there a particular story behind this song?
Behind Top Drawer?
Yeah.
Well, call me pretentious, but I don't really like to go through like the meanings of songs. Just I think it's cool to have songs that mean different things to different people, you know. But I think Top Drawer is, I suppose, if I was going to, it's kind of like somewhere along the lines of the story of kind of liking someone you shouldn't, you know, and kind of being caught by surprise of that. And maybe I think it's kind of a love story we all know a bit too well. So yeah, along those lines anyway.
That's perhaps why it was so popular, maybe.
Yeah, maybe people could relate to it, yeah, which is a crying shame, really. All the people out there needing some more love in their lives, but yeah.
Anyways, in the next year, 2019, you finally released your debut EP, It's Always Sunny Above the Clouds. That title in itself is intriguing to me. It's very meaning to it. There's a lot of questions on meaning, but...
No, that's fine. I quite like that. You know, you don't really get asked that sort of stuff. This is like a run through our entire career, isn't it? It'd be mad if we have another catch up in about 10 years, and we'll see. We'll go through it again. But Always Sunny, yeah. That was just, we didn't have a name for the EP, and I'm always sitting and thinking of stuff. And I suppose Always Sunny Above the Clouds is kind of a rework of There's Always Light at the End of the Tunnel. You know, it's kind of the idea of that. Even though it looks grey, above it is blue skies and things, and I kind of like the optimism in that. And I think the songs kind of, although maybe not as optimistic lyrically, kind of had that kind of feeling and vibrance about them. So that's kind of just and as well, no one has that. That no one's ever said that before, which I'm surprised. I googled it. That's what I do with like song titles. I always Google them and see if anyone's had it before, because I don't want to do that, and no one had. So I was proper buzzing with it. But no, it's just like you say, a kind of light at the end of the tunnel thing of you know, nothing's really as bad as it maybe seems on face value, you know.
Well, that's good meaning. What stood out?
I hope so.
What stood out to me was the artwork of the EP. Who designed that?
Oh, so it's a lad I went to school with, Carl Ty. We'd messaged him for, I think this was he'd done Top Drawer and Wild. Sorry, I'm looking up here. I've got our artworks up just by complete fluke, so I'm just looking at the wall. He'd done them, and I said, he obviously does a load of other art, and he's his full-time job. And I said, I wanted something around like the teddy bear thing. And I said, I wanted the idea to be of kind of the whole picture looks happy, but when you look at it a bit closely, nothing really is. And that's what he did. So I don't know if you see it, sort of there's like a teddy bear flying on balloons, but that is someone that is like with a spear popping it, and the other one's smoking, and the other one's got like a spiked baseball bat. So I quite like the idea of that. It looks so cute and happy, but if you look at it properly, it's all going wrong for him. So I quite like that. But yeah, it's him, and he's done everything since. So Carl is a massive part of what we do, because he's our whole kind of branding and image. Everything Carl does, we just go, yeah, we'll have that. So he did Be Mine. I don't know if you've seen the Be Mine artwork. I'm sure we'll get to that anyway, but and that's just unreal. So.
Well, it kind of reminds me of an interview I watched during my research where you mentioned that someone called you the nice guys of Indy.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're slowly losing that title, but yeah, that was a nice compliment. I suppose sadly, that just comes from bands acting like they're Oasis or Alex Turner before they have the right to be. Our kind of motto is just be nice to everyone along the way, because I suppose like you and like me, what we have in common is that we're both trying to succeed and grow in our areas, aren't we? So I think that's the thing, and realizing that we've all been starting out at some point, or we've all got a job to do. So I think that's our thing, of just be nice to everyone, and as long as they're being nice to you, and that seems to work all right for us. So I don't think that's particularly that should come as a shock, I don't think, to anyone. I don't think we're doing anything revolutionary there, but that's kind of the way we do things anyway.
A good, simple message.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just be nice. Don't be a dick, basically.
Well, it's clear that the summer vibe continued for your band with the artwork and also the overall sound of the songs. It feels like we can all rely on the Covasettes to boost our mood, right?
Yeah, I hope so. It's nice when people say that. I think we try and be energetic and exciting with our songs. So I'd like to think we can boost a mood or two every now and then, or kind of let everyone relish in a bit of sadness for a bit with Shears or something like that. So yeah.
No, it's not quite Joy Division or New Order.
Yeah. I've been, with Joy Division, I've been trying to. I've got their first two albums. No, I've got the first album. Can't remember what it is, and I for some reason I keep meaning to listen to it the whole way through, but I still haven't. I'm really big on CDs and listening to albums as they were, the whole way through, and I've still not got round to listen to the whole album there, because obviously I know the classics like Love Will Tear Us Apart and all that, but I want to go through the whole album and see what I think. Are you big on Joy Division then, are you? Or
I'm bigger on New Order, actually, which is
New Order. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What album? Have you got an album in mind, or
just in general? Like, I like
okay.
the obvious big ones like Blue Mondays and
Yeah.
Temptation, stuff like that.
All right, I'll give it a listen. Yeah, I'll send me over some ones to listen to. I'll give it a listen.
Yeah, I'll make a playlist for you.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, like the old days, like with CDs and things like that, where people give you like a mixtape and that. Give me one of them. That'd be nice.
I'll throw one on stage at your next tour.
Yeah, don't hit me with it though. I've seen a few videos where people throw CDs at bands and ping them in the head with it. I'd be fuming.
Have you seen the movie Spike Island?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Where they all try and get their mixtape on stage.
Yeah, we filmed that. There's a song in it that when I was watching it, I was kind of googling it, and there's a song they sing at the start, and it's like people love it, and I can't remember how it goes, but it's like a whole thing that everyone loves. Is what? Sorry.
10 Mile Smile.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and everyone loves it, and I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, I thought it was a good film. That, to be fair.
So furthermore, 2019 brought with it your first headline tour. How did this compare to your gigs you had previously done with your couple years before?
2019 tour. Was that the Like You tour, or was that the Always Sunny tour? Do you know? That doesn't matter. I think it was the EP tour, wasn't it? Yeah. So EP. Yeah, that's the most recent one we did. So that was the best one by far, because when we toured Like You, that was like you could see it picking up, and we had some mad crowds, and then Always Sunny tour, we moved it on a bit and went to to Scotland and things, and went a bit more down south, and we could it was nice to see that the word had travelled and more people were coming. That was definitely the kind of, okay, let's, like, this is working now, like we can up it a gear, and that's what we did for August this year. But of course that was obviously had to go due to COVID, and then we did it for August again, so April then August, and that had to go as well. So we're looking forward to February next year, where we can finally see if it's going to step up again, because we've obviously put Spin out in that time, so we're waiting to see whether that kicks into gear or not.
Well, I stumbled across someone's reply to your tweet a couple of days back, reminding you of a show during that tour. when someone was hit overhead.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to hear more about that.
I actually know. So someone had just, I don't know why they'd sat on a chair like near the front. I don't know why they'd done that. Anyway, and you know, stand at the back or sit at the back. You don't sit near they sat in like the front sort of 5-6 rows. And as it was kicking off, someone had just tried to pass the chair back over their heads to get rid of it. And so someone had kind of taken it, but obviously just loving the vibe, I'm sure, kind of threw it behind, and it pinged a friend of mine, Dan, who's in a band called The Flits, right in the head. And there's a video of it, which I was trying to find the other day, and you just see the chair go, and you hear this big clash, and you hear him go, "Ah, fuck." That's what it sounds like anyway. And I just pinged him right at the head. And I think it's just an excellent moment of like I don't know, like it's a host of things that shouldn't have happened, which led to a brilliant moment. So yeah, that was funny. That I'll try and find the video for you.
So it wasn't quite a WrestleMania kind of move. It was just an accident.
It could have been, you know, it was certainly more real than WrestleMania anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think he certainly was feeling it for a few days afterwards, but I think that's part of the fun, isn't it?
Of course. Sadly, due to the current pandemic, you haven't been able to capitalise on your successes as much as you may have wanted to in 2020. But have
Yeah.
promoted your band online by performing acoustic sessions, and you even done a Covasettes virtual tour. Do you think that you have made most of out of lockdown?
Yeah, we've tried our best to. Obviously, we were in a fortunate position, having been living together, where we can kind of make content readily, and this is our kind of room we do everything in. So we tried our best to kind of fill that void. I mean, you can't quite compete with it in regards to gigging and getting out there, you know, but we tried our best to be creative and new, and we've still got things coming up which we're working on to try and kind of fill that gig void. So yeah, I like to think we made the most of it, and obviously we're putting out a single now as well, so hopefully that will do some good for us.
What are the plans for the Covasettes for the remainder of the year and 2021?
The remainder of the year, I think, is just to survive and not have another pandemic. I think we've accepted that. I mean, we're taking gig offers for 2021 at the minute, which is insane. But yeah, I think the plan is just to kind of keep going and keep busy in the best way we can, and you know, do things like this, come on, having a chat, and I think it's good to see how the world has reacted to this sort of thing, and to see how many podcasts and blogs are coming out, and how many bands and virtual festivals there are, and we're happy to be a part of it, really. So for this year, it's just keep going, and hopefully we can get back to some form of gigging at some point. And then 2021, it's going to be like making up for lost time, I think. So a lot of gigging, taking everything we can, and hopefully, you know, selling out this February tour we've got.
What is the dream for you guys as a band? Obviously, it's quite a basic question, but in the past we've got Glastonbury, we've had Reading and Leeds. What is the dream for you guys? Where do you want to get to? And you'll know, yeah, we've done it.
I think a place for us is maybe not like a gig mark, but certainly to do it full time would be the thing for us. I mean, the money you make in music now compared to, I mean, if we had the same amount of people buy our music as we did streams online, we'd be millionaires, which is an insane thing to think about. Or the band would be a millionaire, and maybe not individual members. But so for us, it's kind of get to a point where we can quit our jobs outside of music and focus full time on that, and, you know, go and work on albums in cottages in the middle of nowhere or something, you know, and properly do it that way. You know, I said to someone the other day, it's amazing how when you look at what we've done, having not been working for the last few months because of COVID, how much we've done and how much we've grown and come together, and how many songs we've written. And it makes you realize that, you know, that's the challenge that bands nowadays face, is just the challenge of everyday life getting in the way, and having jobs and responsibilities, and working out of hours. And, you know, we all work to try and keep the band afloat, and it's mad to think that also in doing that, you're also taking away a big portion of your time which you could be doing with the band. So I think for us, it really is, the dream is just to be full time and be you know, yeah, just full-time musicians really is the answer. I hope that sounds optimistic enough, but I hope that makes sense as to why I'm saying that.
Very humble again.
Thanks. Try my best.
So I didn't realise that actually it's a lot harder to earn money from music than I actually thought. I thought it was
Yeah.
a big celebrity thing, but it doesn't seem that way anymore since I've started this.
Yeah, I think once you're there, you do all right. And don't be wrong, you can, and it certainly is possible. It's not completely bleak, but I suppose when you go from people buying albums and CDs as a form of being in a band. Sorry, I think have I cut out there. Sorry, I just went low battery. Sorry. I think as people buying CDs and then go into streaming platforms where music is free and readily available, it certainly is obviously a hit because stream wise, I don't know what you get, 0.02p a song, a listen or something like that. Sorry, so it's like it accumulates. But obviously the upside is that now, it all kind of evens out, I suppose, because now we get listened to in Brazil and Argentina and things, whereas if we were doing this 20, 30 years ago, we might not even be out of Manchester yet. So I think that's the beauty of music today, is that everyone can find everyone and everyone can listen to everything straight away, and it's so readily available. So for consumers, it's great. I suppose for people making money on the end of it, it's a bit of a nightmare. But I think anyone in the music industry is not in it for money. I'll tell you that.
Well, I find it quite interesting that you have listeners from all over the world. Brazil.
Yeah. I think we've got some crazy ones. We always get. It's kind of a joke of ours. Of we get so many not funny, but comments on YouTube saying like, "Come to Brazil" or "Come to a crazy place in the world." And it's like, bro, if we come to Brazil, you're gonna be the only person there. Like, we can't just come to Brazil, But yeah, and that's mad for us, and especially when you have just on Spotify, it gives you like a breakdown of wherever you are in the world, and somehow we've got dots pretty much everywhere, and it's like, Christ, like I didn't know, it's amazing how far music can reach, and how I'm sure people who don't even speak the language of the lyrics are still kind of engaging with it in some way. So that's pretty cool to me.
So if you could choose somewhere to go on tour away from the UK, where would you pick?
It's got to be the US, I think. America for us is the big thing. And I said to the boys, if we get to the point in a few years, say, where it's like, okay, and I hope it won't happen, but if it's ever like, okay, this is the curtains are coming down, I think the thing we'll do is go on a US tour together and sort of go that way. I think we just want to get out, and I think our plan for this year was to try and get into Europe, so obviously that's not happened, but for next year it is just going to be obviously getting to Europe, and then from there to tag along on a US tour, so it will be unbelievable. That's what we'd like, and we'd do it the hard way as well, I'm sure.
Well, if you conquered the USA, not many British bands have done that. Oasis struggled. In fact, Oasis looked very, very small in America.
So, I don't think people quite understood what they were going for as much, did they? But I think, I think that's kind of the fun of it. I think I was watching an interview with Covasettes recently, and Van McCann was saying about how it was like starting again, and that must be quite a weird thing to do for a band when you get to a point where you're selling out arenas, then you go and start again in pubs and clubs and things. So that's the beauty of it. But I suppose it's a different world now, like with the way music streaming works and charts. Like, I suppose there's a lot more overlap than there was before. I think Lewis Capaldi does well in America now, doesn't he, and things like that. So you certainly can do it perhaps easier now than before.
Right, I feel like I'm going to end this with one last question. We normally get a good response from this.
Yeah.
Why should listeners of this podcast check out the Covasettes?
Why should they?
Yeah.
So this is going to be the first bad response you've had. I have no idea. I don't know why you would, to be honest. From listening to me rabble on for 20 minutes, I have no idea why you would. If anything, I think I've put people off. I suppose you'd listen to us because you've got nothing better to do with your time, and you're thinking, well, I need to kill 3 minutes. What should I do? Well, this is what you're going to do. That's what I'd say on that one.